everyone to the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series from the Chicagoland Speedway, where we've got some epic Truck Series action coming at you tonight. I'm Austin Edstrom, standing alongside Brian Britt with Austin Derbyshire behind the production booth. Brian, how do you think the action's going to be out on the racetrack tonight? This old, worn-out surface, this abandoned racetrack in real life. How's it going to be on sim with the trucks?
Oh, I think it's going to be exciting. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, for the first probably 10 or 15 laps, it's going to be a lot like a super speedway race where these guys are going to be able to mash the throttle down. But I don't think that's really the play if you're smart. I think it's all going to be about saving some tire. Of course, that's one thing I've always say week in and week out, as our producer pointed out earlier before the race. That can't be one of the keys to the race. So let's
look at it. It's a universal rule in the NASCAR cars, man. It's a universal rule.
Well, let's look at the keys to the race. Of course, be ready for it to get loose. After 15 laps, this truck, I should say, is going to start to get loose. And, of course, that's going to lead to our second key, which will be to find the search for grip. Essentially, find the groove that has the most grip. When it starts to get loose, you're going to want to search for where the track is going to be better. And I think that's going to be moving up the racetrack. Of course, the third one, of course, is going to be watch out for that backstretch wall. Very easy to get tight in 1 and 2 and hit that backstretch wall. And, of course, these trucks are very vulnerable to that kind of damage.
Trucks could find some damage hitting that outside wall. Now, they have been toughened up in recent years, but they're still susceptible to them a little bit. You never know what you could do to the suspension if you catch that tire off on a bad impact coming to the outside fence. Getting a little bit of track data. Chicago Speedway, located in Joliet, Illinois, about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Chicago. Not too much in terms of clouds in the sky, so it's going to be a relatively cool afternoon. 69 degrees, only 94 degrees on the track temp. That's probably going to go up 6 to 10 degrees whenever the trucks are actually going around on the racetrack, so it could make it a little bit more difficult than what it was in practice. We're going to jump straight into our broadcast picks. I'm picking James Harris. He didn't win it all last season. Probably should have led an unbelievable amount of laps. We really need to tally him up because it's going to be a ridiculous number for a guy that did not win a single race. So I think that he's got to break that streak at some point. So I'm going with James Harris.
Yeah, I'm going to be going with Nathan Meyer in this race. I think he's just been lights out, one of the strongest competitors we've seen here as of late. So I'm going with him. Of course, Austin Derbyshire, I do believe he's going with, I think, Gary Snyder. Gar Snyder, I should say. So definitely interesting pick there, rocking the Larson paint scheme. But I think, Austin, we got some points to look at, don't we?
I don't believe we do.
Oh, okay.
The points are non-existent this week, unfortunately. Yeah, they're up. Actually, sorry, they're up there, but they're invisible. So I can't read them. I'm sorry.
Well,
if any of you guys can see,
I'll read them right quick.
Though,
Nathan Meyer, of course, is on the top of the board. He's actually tied points-wise with Keegan Sabilo, so a tie for the points lead at the moment. Of course, Jeff he's, I do believe, in the third place position in the points. Nathaniel Tallman, very great performance last week at the Circuit of the Americas. He's tied for actually third as well. So we got a lot of ties right now. Andrew Hale, he's in fifth. Tyler Meeks is in sixth. James Harris, who you picked, of course, is in seventh. Jason Taylor, eighth. James South in ninth. And William Mann Jr. actually tied for ninth as well. I'm
very thankful that you could read invisibility typing on your screen there. It came in handy for us tonight so that we could see it. But the schedule also came up at the same time, so really a big miracle that you could see it. But as the schedule does pop up, Thunderclap iRacing Series from the Phoenix Raceway tomorrow night. On Wednesday night, be there or be square, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Friday night is going to be the Richmond Raceway. As always, Ryko Performance, Friday night, NIS Top Split. Gotta love it. Gotta be there. I mean, the Richmond Raceway put on a good show last night. The B race, the Xfinity cars were a little bit of a mess, but the A cars were really fun to watch. Put on a good show, and I think we're going to get a great one again this Friday night. But first and foremost, tonight, the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series qualifying is over. Gridding has commenced. And starting on the front row, we've got Nathan Meyer on the pole, James Harris on the outside pole. Third place is going to be George Young with Keegan Sabilo in fourth. Tyler Meeks is starting in P5, leading up that third row. Nathaniel Tillman is going to be in P6. Brian Lorenzo in P7 with Jason Taylor in P8. John Lucido is going to be P9 with John Thacker rounding out the top 10.
Of course, 11th place, Gar Snyder. That's our producer's pick. 12th place, Stan Carnathan. 13th, of course, Jeff No. 14th, James South. 15th, Timothy Babcock. 16th, Colby Jackson. 17th, Ray Kennison. And rounding out this 18-car field is Dan Hillewig. A lot of these drivers are going to be very, very happy to be away from that pretty difficult road course last week. I guarantee that. But they're going to be glad to be at a mile and a half. Of course, like you said, this is an abandoned racetrack now. But I tell you, one of my favorite racetracks on the sim. I mean, it's such a fun track. You can run multiple grooves as well, too. So I think we're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing here today.
Absolutely. You can search around. You can find some clean air, turn 1 and 2, multiple lines, honestly, throughout that corner, especially as the tires wear out. You can really move around, find something. Turns 3 and 4, I feel like will probably be a little bit more bottom heavy. It's been a while since I've raced at Chicagoland, so I can't give you a for certain answer on that, but I'll be interested to keep an eye out and watch. 3 and 4 just might be a little bit more standard.
Well, 3 and 4, of course, the reason you would want to stay on the bottom in that corner is that there are bumps in the middle of the racetrack. So if you're going to ride in the middle, you're going to have a tough time. Now, you can go all the way to the top of the track. I think that is an option, but for the most part, you are correct. The bottom of the track is going to be where you're going to want to be, essentially, I think, the majority of the run. Now, like I said, you hit them bumps, you're already going to be loose, I think, later in this race. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. Depends on how I think these trucks are set up as well, if you hit those bumps. Nathan Meyer, though, getting ready to get us there as the pace car lights are out.
Like you mentioned, though, these things are going to get loose. Got to take care of that right rear tire. Got to keep it on the race car. Got to make it to that next pit stop, whether it be a caution or under green. And with it being a 110-lap race this evening, guaranteed a couple of pit stops here tonight in the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series race number 3 of the second season of the 24 season, I should say. I suppose. I guess that's correct.
A lot of ties in the field when it comes to the championship standings right now. So a lot of drivers going to be wanting to get ahead. So I wouldn't be surprised if that makes a kind of a scary atmosphere here today at Chicago.
Yeah, you always want to get the early jump. Make sure you're at least within, I don't know, fighting distance of the race leader or the points leader here in the early going. Keep yourself in the fight for later on in the season. That's what they're on route to do tonight. Nathan Meyer on the pole, coming down to the green flag as it is flying. And we are green for the Chicagoland Speedway. Already
a really good start there for Nathan Meyer. We see Ray Kennison. I think he might have started from pit road here. So playing a little bit safe, Ray Kennison is. And I think that might have been a good call because you're going to see these guys are already going to be starting to get a little bit rowdy out here. As we see 3 wide, here comes Keegan Sobilo to the bottom. He's not going to be able to get there, though. But already Nathan Meyer playing some defense against George Young. What a great qualifying effort for the 48 driver. He's been looking just really fast here as of late, and I think this is a track that might suit him. But here comes your pick, James Harris, going to get right up to the back bumper of the 24 out of turn 2.
Yeah, Harris putting all types of pressure on Nathan Meyer. Confusingly weird line by George Young down the front straightaway, basically just gifting second to James Harris. And now James Harris diving to the inside through 3 and 4 to the bottom of Nathan Meyer, and he's going to take that out of turn number 4. Just about, actually. Nathan Meyer able to fight him back on the outside, just held on to that right rear quarter panel coming out of the corner. I want to say the 55 was just clear for a couple moments, but he thought better of sliding them this early in the event. But the next time by, through turns 1 and 2, moved James Harris up to the lead. Sole leadership out front on the back straightaway, lap number 3.
Yeah, and I think there's something to that, though. I think Nathan probably let him have it on purpose. I don't really think that he wants to fight James hard right now, considering we know this is going to be a tire conservation style race. As we see a lot of drivers kind of spreading out, getting single file, not a whole lot of crazy action. I think we see side by side. I think further back with John Lucido and Brad Thacker. That's for 8th at the moment. I'm sorry, that's actually the 11 of Nathan Tallman, actually side-by-side with Lucido.
Yeah, Tallman down there on the bottom, right behind Keegan Sabilo. Side-by-side with John Lucido on the outside. Full throttle, just about wrapping that outside, trying to get all the momentum you can coming out of the corner. He's got a little bit of help behind him, maybe giving him a little bit of air. Not quite bumping him down the front straightaway. A little uneasiness between the 56 and Lucido there on the outside. I believe that was Brad Thacker. Thacker finding a home now on the bottom side, sliding back up to the outside just behind this still side-by-side battle for that 7th place position. Oh, Lucido
Yeah.
kind of squeezes coming down into the corner. It got a little nervy, and he actually finds himself side by side with Sabilo now for 5th.
Yeah, they almost, the 11 and the 73 got very close, a little too close for comfort for my taste. It's very hard to predict where drivers are going to be on this racetrack. There's so many options when it comes to lines, as we see Tall Man now go side by side with the 77. So trying to follow suit, try to follow this 73 around. Of course, Tall Man coming off of a second place finish last week at the Circuit of the Americas. Here comes Sabilo, though, crossover on the 73.
Yeah, Sabilo trying to get back down to the bottom. Try not to lose too much ground at the beginning, and also try not to wear out those tires too much, but man, he's really using them up out of 4, really squeezing Brad Thacker up to the outside fence, almost putting him into it, battling for that 7th place spot. Typically, we see Sabilo struggle on the early runs, and I say struggle because he's going backwards, but typically he finds himself back up towards the front because it's just because he's been saving tires. So I'm not necessarily too worried about Keegan Sabilo with the way that he's running currently, but they are losing a good bit of ground to the race leaders at this point, already about 3 seconds back.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and
2.5.
And we're going to see how dramatic the fall off's going to be. As we see Garth Snyder entering the picture, he just came out of nowhere up into the top 10 as he makes quick work of Nathaniel Tallman. But look at that fall off. Fall off's actually already really great as it is. I mean, 31.365 from our leader, James Harris. His best lap time was a 30.797. So that's well over a half a second of fall off already. And now Meyer is really starting to put pressure back on the 55 here. But of course.
Oh, contact back further back. Keegan Sabilo and Garth Snyder, I believe, in the 5.
Yeah, I saw the 56 of Brad Thacker get up into the wall there, too.
And I believe that was completely unrelated because I believe he was in front of those guys, but Sabilo and Garth made contact, and Garth getting loose through 1 and 2 again, all the way out to the outside wall, just losing spots.
Yeah, we're seeing Jason Taylor, of course, trying to get underneath the 11 as this is getting very close for possibly, we could see a caution break out here as these guys are racing each other really hard. We're on lap 9, starting lap number 10. Now, of course, we talked about the loose conditions starting to break out in around lap 15. Could it be happening prematurely here because of the dirty air?
And it definitely could because you're going from being in dirty air one corner to not being in dirty air the next in certain situations with a lot of the side-by-side battling. So it could become difficult to control your car because it could just react totally different on one side of the racetrack compared to the other. And then it could flip-flop the next way around just because it could be swapped what line you're stuck in terms of the dirty air. Man, they're just racing so hard coming out of turn 4, a little bit behind these guys though too. Right behind Keegan Sabilo for that 10th place position. Nathaniel Tallman, or sorry, not Nathaniel Tallman, Stan Carnathan and Jason Taylor are just going at it.
Yeah, definitely. The 82 just made its way up into the top 10. You can see behind him, they're still battling. Of course, Garth Snyder, Jason Taylor, Colby Jackson in the mix in that 3-machine autism awareness machine. He drives it in deep on the bottom. And we're definitely seeing, some drivers are struggling. I mean, you see Taylor right there getting really wiggly. These cars are not, usually these trucks are a lot more planted than what we're seeing here today. I think this is a lot different of style of racing than what we expected to see here today. So look at that. You can see Taylor slowing in the middle of the corner. Snyder has to back up off of it.
And the early going at this racetrack, man, you've just really got to hold yourself back. You feel like Superman. You feel like you can fly around this place. But I'm telling you, you've got to be so patient on the throttle. You've got to wait to get that thing to 100% until you're coming out of the corner. And you've got to really be deliberate with the throttle application and make sure that it's relatively precise. You can't just be throwing it up to 100% willy-nilly. You got to really be paying attention to it and backing up your corners. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, our front two pulled out a really big gap. So I'm actually really worried about Nathan Meyer and James Harris in the long run. I feel like a couple of these guys further back could start reeling them in as this run keeps on going. We're only 13 laps in. They haven't built up necessarily a huge gap, but it looks relatively big on your screen there on watching on YouTube. So I just feel like these guys might have been burning up their stuff a little bit too quick, and it's easy to get lured into racing a little bit too hard, especially on the first run of the race where you're just brand new into it after a week off.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it definitely seems like Harris and Meyer are doing pretty okay. I don't know if they burned their stuff up too much. I know the clean air is going to be a big deal, but Harris is being pressed quite a bit by Meyer right now. And I got to say, I'm impressed with Young's lap times. One thing that I am noticing from Young, Meeks, Lorenzo, that they are dropping down on the apron on this front stretch. Now, that is something that a lot of times will hurt the tires if you do it too many times consistently. As we see this battle is starting to rage here for the 4th place position.
The 99 of Lorenzo to the inside of Tyler Meeks through 3 and 4. Like we mentioned, the bumpy section of the racetrack. The outside groove actually working really well on the outside of 3 and 4. Tyler Meeks able to hold on to that spot, P4. Coming back to the line, gaining in on the leader as well just a little bit. Got to point out, George Young also picked up about a 10th that lap over the front two, who are now side by side for the race lead. Nathan Meyer to the inside of James Harris. It's not going to pan out for him here, more than likely, with Harris getting that big run on the outside. Meyer not quite able to side draft him back, but he's able to stay just about to his rear bumper, entering the corner, dives it into the inside. Not quite down to the bottom line, just splits that first seam. Doesn't get the greatest of exits, and James Harris stays in the race lead, but that does allow, well, I figured that would allow George Young to close in, but they're actually picking up pace a little bit, racing hard against each other.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising to see. You would think racing side by side would cause these guys to kind of lose a little bit of speed, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. I mean, now I will say that Tyler Meeks is running a little bit quicker than these guys. Brian Lorenzo is. So could that be possibly something there? I think Meeks has been actually looking really, really good on the longer run here. Now, I do want to mention that we haven't talked about the fuel window all night so far because it hasn't been really relevant, but it will be soon. 45 laps is the scheduled fuel window that you can really go on a tank of gas. So that is going to be something to keep in mind, of course. Now, this being a 110-lap race, if this was to go green for the rest of the race, that math does not add up for one stop. These guys are going to have to stop twice.
Absolutely. Going to have to come down pit road 2 times. Not really a big surprise tonight, but as you were mentioning, Tyler Meeks looks really good, but I've been nervy on him a couple times out of turn 4. He's looked really, really loose. Looked a little sketched out. He looks quick, right? Him and Lorenzo look really, really rapid. But he's just sketching me out coming out of turn 4 a couple times, and it's just making me nervous. It just takes one bad moment coming out of the corner to ruin your night. And right now, Tyler Meeks is the one scaring me the most, but like you mentioned, he's absolutely running down the race leader, or has been after lap after lap. I think he's stagnated here recently as the leaders have adapted that high line that he's been running the last couple laps.
And that's something we knew we'd find out, or we'd find. That was one of the keys to the race, of course, finding a different groove. And I think that's exactly what some of the guys that are struggling have started to do. But James Harris has done a fantastic job defending his position from Nathan Meyer. And I think that's what the key to this race is going to be. It's going to be all about defense. Defense, defense, defense. Do not give that driver the the kind of the preferred groove. And I think that's exactly what James has been doing. He's been able to fight from the higher side. And
Meeks got nervy coming into turn 3. He hit the wall, I believe. Lost a position to Lorenzo. Now they're side by side for 5th. Lucido trying to come through and take that spot. I think he's going to do it. Meeks, I think, has really worn out that right rear tire. He has just looked so nervy lap after lap. Finally is coming to haunt him. Actually moving back another spot as Tallman gets through to 6. Lucido and Tallman up a spot. Also, Lorenzo is able to go up to P4. So Tyler Meeks from P4 to P7 in about a lap. Tough break.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very curious to see that. I thought Meeks was looking really good. I'm glad you had a good eye on him, so you could clearly see that he must have been doing something wrong that was causing him to prematurely wear those tires. I'll tell you, I'm really liking Tallman. I mean, he's come into this race, I think, with just a lot of momentum. He showed his skill, I think, in that road course race last week, and clearly he's got skill even on these tracks as well as he goes to battle here with the 73. Still trying to work his way up into the top 5, but definitely a great run so far for Tallman.
Yeah, Tallman's doing good up here. I'm not quite sure if he's... Oh, well, he gets to the inside of Lucido just about. Not quite. Tyler Meeks maybe has cooled those tires back down a little bit and calmed himself down because he gets a huge run coming out of turn 4. Gets to the outside of Tallman and takes the spot. Gets to the outside of John Lucido, just about 3 wide. Has to file back to 2 wide with Tallman coming through 1 and 2. Might be able to stay to the outside of Lucido. Coming out of the corner, though, Nathan Meyer looked... Oh, the 11 into the outside fence. Gonna allow Sabilo to get to his inside, but Tyler Meeks looked like a fish out of water a couple laps ago, and now he's flying back into the top 5.
Yeah, I think it must have something to do with these guys cooling the tires off a little bit. Kind of just taking it a little bit easier, running a little bit of a, I guess, not as aggressive of a line, and allowing them to cool back down. But it has definitely caused a little bit of a checkpoint, I guess you could say, definitely an interesting choke point, I guess would be probably a better way to describe it, as Keegan Stabile tries to get around, of course, John Lucido here. I like what I'm seeing from Stan Carnathan. He has been really driving his way through the field as we see that battle there going on, I believe, between Jason Taylor and Brand Thacker.
Yeah, Carnathan moving up to the 9th place spot, like you mentioned. Or sorry, the 8th place spot now as he gets by Lucido on the inside. Carnathan starting in that 12th place spot has steadily moved up since the drop of the green flag. Lucido made big moves early, got up to the front, or towards the front, towards the top 5. Fortunately, the last couple laps didn't pan out right for him. I think he got caught out by Tyler Meeks' move, and honestly, his run got stalled out pretty bad, and it's just kind of compounded for him. He's lost a couple spots. A couple different movers. Looking back a little bit further back, James South in the 12th place position. Gar Schneider on the inside. Schneider had an issue through 3 and 4 earlier. Was able to hold on to that thing. This time, James South looks to the inside of Brad Thacker coming into turn number 1. Oh, the race lead is changing hands. Nathan Meyer has gotten by James Harris coming out of turn number 2 as James Harris has finally made a mistake. He's been mirror driving Nathan Meyer lap after lap. Entering turn number 1. That time coming out of turn number 2, maybe just looking in his rear view just a little bit too heavy, holding down that throttle pedal, trying to get a good run, sucked him up into that outside fence and allowed Nathan Meyer to take that race lead away.
That's definitely curious. I think what you just said there, I think, is an important fact about it, is that he had to make a mistake. That you know, Nathan was keeping him so honest. You can see right here, just a little bit of a wiggle, and he goes up the racetrack. Meyer had the momentum, was able to make the move right when it counted, and got clear. What a great job from Nathan Meyer. But I don't think it's over yet. Harris is not going anywhere, and but I do think Meyer, he might not be as used to the clean air as Harris is. Now that a lot of people say that, okay, clean air should make the car handle better. Now it probably will, but it also will be different. I think that's the key here. We got to keep in mind it's going to handle differently.
I'll get to your point in one moment, but you saw on that replay, it was actually the one time James Harris didn't run Nathan Meyer's line is the time that he got loose and snapped it up into the outside wall, which is interesting. He changed it up, and it bit him. But to your point, Nathan Meyer, last time by, got snappy loose out of turn 4, and I have not seen Nathan Meyer get loose one time out of this run. So I think you're absolutely right. He's seeing that front end bite a little bit more through the corner than he's seen through the entirety of this race, because he's been tucked under James Harris' back deck lid the entirety of the run. So now he's got that clean air, and he's like, whoa, this thing actually turns a little bit. Taking him a couple laps, but I think he'll get used to it, and we'll start going.
No, I definitely agree. Totally. Yeah, it looks like we got James South getting past John Lucido. Lucido was, I do believe, one of the front runners up in the top 5. Has fallen all the way back to 11th. The South really close to the wall, inches off of that wall right now. Of course, Nathan Meyer now in the lead. He's got about a 0.2 of a second lead on James Harris right now. Big gap. Back to third, George Young, 3 seconds right now.
James Harris was leading the way for a good chunk of the early portion of this. And you see on the front end of James Harris's car, that Champion Power Equipment banner. Got to give a big round of applause to Champion Power Equipment and give them a little bit of a shout out, as this broadcast is brought to you by Champion Power Equipment. Since 2003, CPE has earned a reputation for designing and producing the market's finest power equipment. With over 4.5 million generators sold in North America, Champion has decades of experience providing dependable and durable power products designed and engineered in the United States for the North American and world markets. Visit us at championpowerequipment.com for more information. Champion Power Equipment, powering your life. Big thank you to Champion Power Equipment for powering the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series week in, week out, season after season, giving us the opportunity to come out here every single week and put on a show for all you fine folks at home checking in on YouTube.
Definitely had a big moment there for Gar Schneider. He's fallen way back to 14th position there, dropped a few spots. So I'm wondering what's going on with his race car. It looks like I think a lot of drivers are just starting to struggle. Even looking at lap times, I mean, Gar Schneider 33-second lap last time by. As we see James South in the midst of a battle, I do believe that's John Lucido. So it's all about who's taking care of the tires. Oh, there goes a ride through the grass. Tall man taking a little bit of a trip through that grass there.
It went on a little bit of an excursion down through the infield. That was a less than ideal line, I'd say, down the front straightaway as he comes out of turn number 4. Breaks loose a little bit.
Yeah.
Not really break loose, just gets tapped coming out of the corner. Maybe he was coming off the wall a little bit. But did end up making contact nonetheless. 2 guys going for the same bit of real estate. Safely rejoins the track, unfortunately well off the pace. And now well down the running order. Unfortunate break for Tallman. But before we start this first round of green flag pit stops, I say we send it to our first commercial break so that we could be here whenever they start. So stick with us as those green flag pit stops should start right after we come back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Second place, James Harris down pit road. Second lap of green flag pit stops underway. Undercutting our race leader of Nathan Meyer here. Does Nathan Meyer stay out another lap? No, he's going to bring it down pit road off of turn number 4. Get it wound down, not take too many risks. Not really charging the entry too much. He had a pretty good lead over James Harris. Now he's going to have 1 lap fresher tires. Can James Harris undercut him here on the pit stop? I don't think so. I think that gap had grown just a little bit too large, but we'll have to wait and see as Nathan Meyer comes down to take 4 tires and fuel.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, of course, the new tires, on new tires, you're going to be able to hit a 31.1 or 31.2 versus what you're doing on old tires is 32.4. So that's, I mean, over a second of fall off. So, I mean, that's enough. If you shortcut someone, you probably can get a little bit of an advantage. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out as we see, I think, some other drivers come to pit road. I think Tyler Meeks just came to pit road. Now George Young, of course, up in the lead. Meeks had a very dramatic entry. Hopefully he doesn't get a speeding penalty or anything like that. We did have Lorenzo while we're under break go down pit road. We also had Jason Taylor. So they kind of shortcutted a little bit here. So with the fall off, we'll have to see if they're going to be able to make up enough time. Of course, these drivers still have to do one more stop as here comes Young to pit road.
Yeah, Young coming down. Going to hand over the lead to Stan Carnathan. Like we mentioned, started in the 12th place position. Had done a good job climbing up through the field. I believe he had climbed up to the 8th place position before the green flag pit stop started. Now up in the race lead as green flag stops start cycling through. James South has cycled up to the 2nd place position. Timothy Babcock currently in 3rd, 2.5 seconds back off of Carnathan. I'm interested to see if we see maybe some different strategy out of a couple of guys. How long can these guys push it? You said 45. Here we see Carnathan come down at 44. A little sideways entering pit road, able to get it down. James South, though, staying out. Timothy Babcock staying out. Jeff No still on the racetrack. I feel like there's a potential strategy play brewing up in my mind. I don't know if it would work. Just push both these stints as far as possible, and then on the 2nd pit stop, just take 2 tires and enough gas to make it to the end, maybe?
Carnathan just missed his box. That's going to cost us some time.
Oh,
he had to hit reverse. And look at this! Look at this! We are having some crazy racing right here. 3 wide as we're looking on board with South, as he was, of course, I think, the older tire. Wow.
Yeah, on the older tires, and allows Babcock to get by. Also on the older tires for the race lead, giving Babcock that lap lead. James South trying to fight back on the outside as Babcock tries to slide him. Babcock's going to hold on to the race lead.
Yeah, this is definitely getting pretty exciting out here as drivers, of course, are trying to get their lead, their laps back. I know Keegan Sabilo had driven by to get his lap back. It almost looked like these guys were standing still as here comes Babcock and South to pit road. And no, all 3 of these drivers pitting at the exact same time. Beating and banging a little bit here to get to pit road.
I think there was netcode contact. I heard contact, but I didn't see contact. So I hope these guys are okay coming down. A little aggressive coming down to pit road from Jeff No, but he got it done. Credit to him. Babcock misses his box, unfortunately. Going to cost him about a second, but here comes the race leader, Nathan Meyer, or will be race leader, after still Kobe Jackson still out on the racetrack. He's made 47 laps. This is what I was talking about with that strategy play. Could you stretch it really, really far and just take 2 tires on the 2nd pit stop?
Yeah, that could be a strategy. I know that recently, not long ago, that iRacing has made that more of a viable strategy with the 2-tire stop. And I think that this would be a track that it probably would work. But then again, I don't know. I mean, if you took 2 tires, it would be probably more of your right side tires, and that could cause the car to be even looser. And these guys have already been complaining about a loose condition. What I want to point to here is Nathan Meyer. He pitted after Harris did. Harris should have had an advantage to where he should have gained time on Meyer. He didn't. Meyer did such a great job on pit road, spent 13.9 seconds in his box, 37.1 from one end of pit road to the other versus Harris's 37.7. Meyer has consistently been one of the best performers on pit road.
Yeah, I think Harris has maybe picked up 2 or 3 tenths, but I don't even know if that was on pit road or if that was just because he's ran better or faster ever since they've come out. Like, that's very minor for undercutting somebody, a 2 or 3 tenth gap. So excellent job from Nathan Meyer to hold on to that. I mean, he did a great job building up that gap. He wasn't even in the race lead for very long and was able to build that thing a little over 2 seconds. And is now giving himself 1.6 back to Harris. I think Harris is just a little bit of a hard charger in the early going. Obviously, ridiculously rapid, still quick on the long run, but Nathan Meyer just seems to be able to hold on to those tires and keep the pace in them from the beginning of the run to the end, as we saw in that first stint.
No, I agree totally. I mean, we can even see that being displayed right here in the lap times. I mean, James Harris 31.293 last time by with Meyer 31.432. Clearly, Meyer is not trying to drive it that hard early, and I think that's what gives him a lot of the strength that the long haul here. Let's take a quick rundown through the top 10. Of course, Nathan Meyer sits up in the lead. James Harris, he sits in second right now. Brian Lorenzo, the 99, is in third. Tyler Meeks, he's been really good here tonight. Of course, he's had some wiggly moments, but he's in fourth. Keegan Sabilo's in fifth. Jason Taylor's in sixth. George Young's in seventh. Stan Carnathan's having a good night. He's in eighth. Garth Snyder's in ninth. And John Lucido rounds out our top 10.
Yeah, and I want to point out Carnathan. He was one of the last guys to pit, so he's got some of the freshest tires out there. So you got to think he's going to be running down some of these guys in front of him. Now, he does have a decent gap to George Young, 4 seconds. But as soon as he catches Young, he's got James Taylor, he's got Keegan Sabilo, he's got Tyler Meeks, all under a blanket for that 4th place position. So I wouldn't put it past Carnathan to maybe come up and challenge these guys by the end of the race. He could have a strategy play up his sleeve as well. Lap number 52, just about near and halfway, a couple laps away from it.
Yeah, 100%. And I really want to call more attention to the 24. Of course, we know he was strong last season. He had a very he was able to get a win, and really just was one of the most competitive drivers we saw when he was here. Now, Meyer, of course, missed multiple races last season. He said that's not going to be the case this season, Austin. So I think that's something that we got to put an exclamation point beside that 24. He's looking like he might be a champion favorite right now with the way he's performing.
Well, especially considering the just outright pace that he's got right now. I mean, This is absolutely ridiculous. 2.1 seconds over James Harris here. We're not even halfway through. And the entirety of the first run, he was behind James Harris. So I only think that gap is going to grow if we stay green. I really do. I think that Nathan Meyer could win this race by 15 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, if he keeps this up. But I think there's just the fact that he's participating in every race. I mean, personal life, of course, kept him from actually being here a lot of last season. But every time he showed up, he was pretty much in the position to win. And if he's here every race, I would not be surprised if we see him win the most races this season. I hate to talk him up, but I'm sure.
Didn't he win most races last season?
I mean, I'm pretty sure he did, but I mean, he of course didn't participate in as many as he could have. But I think he was the only driver to win 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Everybody won 1 except for him. He won 2. Well, obviously not everybody won 1, but you know what I mean. Everybody that won 1 except for Nathan Meyer, who got dose. Big congrats to him on that. The only guy with that feather in his cap from last season, the abbreviated season, 8 races. This time around, we got the full 12 coming at you. And race number 3 this time. Keegan Sabilo winning last time out at Circuit of the Americas. Who will it be this week? Certainly at the halfway point, my money would be on Nathan Meyer.
Yeah.
Did one of us pick him?
I did.
Oh, man.
But usually when I pick somebody, they end up wrecked. So I don't know. I'm not counting
Well, somebody's wrecked. Caution flag is out on the Speedway.
I think this is Garth Snyder, our producer's pick.
Man, Garth Snyder around in the infield grass, well off the racetrack. So I'm interested to see when the caution flag flew, exactly what was going on with the 5.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like maybe with the 73, maybe. Let's see exactly. It looks like the 5 came down off the front. And this is easy to do. I gotta say, this is really easy to do. This is one of these tracks that is glorious. This exactly. That backstretch wall is curved, and a lot of the other 1.5 don't have really near as pronounced of a curve as that this track does. And it's very easy to get off, to try to think you're going to hit that wall and then come down and get somebody else. And I think that's exactly what happened here. You see right here. I mean, he's right on the red on that wall. He comes down just a hair. And from his cockpit, you can't even tell he came down. But, I mean, clearly from the top-down view, he did come down. And so he probably thinks that, Lucido, why'd you wreck me?
Well, and Lucido's obviously going for a side draft, too, at the same point. So any just indiscriminate movement by either guy is going to send the 5 around, unfortunately, in that moment. And that's what we saw. And now we're seeing all the leaders coming down pit road, taking their second set of tires. Everybody just came down just a few laps ago, but everybody electing to come down and put on some fresh rubber.
Now, this is kind of an interesting caution here. I do not think we're going to be able to have enough to make it to the end on gas, but it's going to be really close for some. If they really want to maybe go for that strategy to try to take it a little bit easier and save gas, this could be a good time to do that.
Who was the last to pit? Do we remember? Babcock was one of the last ones, and
yeah,
he made
Babcock
it.
and South and No, all three I think were the last ones to pit.
Babcock made it 46 laps. So we are sitting at, we're going to have 51 laps to go next time they go by. So 52 laps to go after they came out of pit road. They're obviously going to save under the next 3-4 caution flag laps. So maybe you say there's going to be 49 laps to go, and you've got a tank of 46 laps. It's gonna be interesting, and I guarantee you we see people try it. I guarantee you, and I think we're gonna see people come back down pit road also and top off the fuel.
100%. I mean, yeah, I think that'd be smart to do that.
While we have this opportunity, under caution, we are going to take our final commercial break of the evening. Stay with us. On the other side, we're gonna bring it to the finish. Can Nathan Meyer hold on? Ken Lorenzo or Tyler Meeks out of charge? Stick with us and find out. Welcome back into the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series on Grid Vision. We've got a restart coming up to you. 49 laps to go from the Chicagoland Speedway. These truckers are going to go after it, I'm telling you. And not only that, but we've got it turning into a fuel mileage race. We did have people come in and top off. I believe I saw Tallman come in and Keegan Sabilo come in. Coming to 1 to go. So we are going to see a couple people perhaps try to stretch this thing on fuel to the end. How many laps will they have to save? Can anybody make it to the end? Or will we get another caution that will throw a wrench in this whole thing? Nathan Meyer downshifts there, getting ready for the restart as the pace car pulls off the banking and down pit road. Nathan Meyer comes down to the restart zone and to the green flag. Nathan Meyer's going to easily clear for that race lead. Coming down into turn number 1, down on the apron. Nathan Meyer, 3/4 of a second gap, getting down, just down into turn number 1. Tyler Meeks trying to file through down on the bottom. Meeks in his best position of the night.
Yeah, I'm wondering, you see Meyer clearly pulled off a little bit ahead of these guys, and that gap, I don't know if I'd want a gap like that at a track like this. I think Meeks is going to draft back up to Meyer, and we could see a change for the lead as a result of that. You can even see Meyer on the backstretch trying to break the draft, goes down on the apron. And you can see James Harris, of course, following in the tire tracks of the 7.
It's hard not to just run away from everybody. You're out there, you see the clear track in front of you, your truck feels great, and you're like, man, I could just drive off into the distance. Problem is, if you do that in 20 laps, they're going to be beating your back bumper up, and you're going to have absolutely no opportunity. So Nathan Meyer's just got to be patient here. Hold on to those tires. Somebody that's not being patient, though, James Harris on the inside.
Whoa, the 82. Stan Carnathan just went sideways.
He's still just driving through the grass, keeping his foot in it.
He's going to get a black flag there. So, yeah, I don't know what just happened. We're going to probably want to look at the replay and see if maybe he had help. I don't know. I just saw him sideways after the fact.
Yeah, that was a weird one. He has left the session, so Stan Carnathan out of the race. Unfortunate for him because he was actually having a good evening.
Yeah. You see, he's racing with Jason Taylor right here. Yeah, he just got loose. He just got loose right here and took a little bit of a trip to the grass, and I guess maybe
might
frustrated.
A little bit of a, yeah, it might be a little bit of a rage quit. He could have kept that on the racetrack and hoped for a caution, but he elected not to, which, hey, that's his prerogative. I don't necessarily blame him. I get the frustration in the moment.
Yeah, no, that's definitely it's unfortunate. I mean, he was having a fantastic day. He'd been driving his way through the field. Looked like he was really all around a good truck. So the battle is heating up, though, for the top 4. These drivers have kind of separated themselves quite a bit from Jason Taylor. They've been hitting some of their fastest laps of the race up here. Very quick lap times. And I think a lot of the other drivers are trying to take it easy. I mean, you see Jason Taylor, he's in saving mode. I'd say George Young's in saving mode. Top 4, they have no desires to save. They're driving hard.
Yeah, they're racing for it up at the top, or up at the front. I mean, Sabilo, too, though. I mean, he came down and topped off at the end there. He's been racing really, really quickly coming through the pack. So I thought that he would maybe back off and save gas, but he's been picking them off one after another. The top 4 have been racing really, really hard, but Keegan Sabilo's come from the back all the way up to P6, which is rather abnormal. Typically, you don't see Sabilo run that hard on new tires. So I'm a little confused. I don't exactly know where the strategies are lying.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's definitely very, very curious. As he gets his way up into 5th, he's up in front of Jason Taylor now, and is going to probably try to see if he could run down Lorenzo. He's got a long way to go, though, 1.7 seconds to get there. From 6th, or I should say 5th, all the way back to, I do believe, 12th. They're all right on top of each other, essentially. I think in pretty much saving mode. I don't think anybody's really driving really hard.
Sabilo and the top 4 are betting on pitting. I'm telling you, they're running so hard. They're not even saving tires, man. They're coming through the pack. Sabilo came through the pack like crazy. The front 4 has absolutely gapped everybody else. Everybody behind Sabilo, I really think is saving.
I just don't understand that, though. Why would Keegan pit a second time?
I don't know.
And lose all that track position if he was just going to stop? Or just
I guess he just changed his mind. Maybe he pitted and thought that he would be better, but whenever he came out, maybe he ran a lap or 2 and was like, wait a minute, I can't.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's exactly what it is. He looked at the math and he was like, this is impossible, maybe? That could be a sign of that.
But if it was impossible, I wouldn't be seeing 12 other cars trying to do it, or 10 other trucks on the racetrack trying to pull it off.
It's definitely curious. I think that's the best way to put it. I mean, I do believe coming up to 40 laps to go here. Nathan Meyer up in the lead, of course, being hounded by the 55 of James Harris. Now, the thing is about this is the shoe's on the other foot in a lot of ways here for Harris, because Harris led a lot of that first portion of the race.
Oh, man! I'm sorry. John Thacker, I believe, or somebody, George Young coming off of turn number 4 was just fishtailing like crazy, and I thought he was wrecking that thing for sure. He had a little bit of pressure, and I thought that thing was coming around or going off the nose of somebody. But he was able to hold on to it, so lucky for the 48. We got to get a replay of that one. Thacker behind him coming out of turn number 4, the 48 on the inside of Jason Taylor. Gets loose down on the inside. Dude, that's such a heavy overcorrection to the right, and then somehow is able to grab it and pull it back down to the left.
Brad Thacker had quite the scare right there. I mean,
man, you kidding me?
This is my life. My life is over.
If he had white underpants, they look like the color of his truck now.
Yeah, that's yeah, for sure. And I'm surprised at George Young too, because I mean he's looked incredibly consistent tonight. Ooh, racing for the lead. They are racing hard right now.
He's probably got a bomb in his pants too. But anyway, there you go. Nathan Meyer up in the race lead. James Harris on his back bumper, like you mentioned, racing hard. Tyler Meeks was maybe racing a little bit too hard. He's starting to fall off the back bumper of these guys. I started to see him getting loose once again just a couple laps ago, and now he's fallen off of this fight. Back to P4. Tyler Meeks goes up to the race lead. Nathan Meyer. James Harris still on his back bumper, entering turn number 3. Lorenzo still there. Not close enough to challenge, but enough that if the race leaders come together, that he'll be there to pick up the crumbs.
Clearly, the class of the field is Meyer and Harris. I think these two have displayed that they are the best in this race right now. Now, Lorenzo could challenge that. We'll have to wait and see. He has not really displayed that kind of speed yet, but he's definitely starting to show that right now. And we've seen Lorenzo in other races, so I definitely think he could make something happen. He's running more to the bottom, I think, trying to get that clean air. I'm wondering if that's going to work for him to help him save the tire. I am kind of curious that Meyer and Harris have already moved to the top.
It's just the fact that you got to keep the momentum up, right? If you're gonna run the fastest lap and be able to defend your position, you got to run the top. It's the defensive line. Even if running the bottom and sliding up to the top is normally faster, if somebody gets your right rear, they're going to pass you. So you just defend the top, run up there. And that's what we're seeing from the top two, just not letting anybody get out there because Lorenzo's not able to clear either of them because they're just able to put it over, or put their left front fender onto his right rear and just drag them back and pitch them down in the corner.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Meyer is just in defensive mode right now, trying to run the best line he can. He moves down though. I tell you, if Harris had a little bit more momentum there, he could have possibly gotten side by side and taken that top line. Oh, as Harris gets a little bit loose in the corner, you can tell these guys are quite on edge here tonight. And a lot of times I get my little notes from James Harris before the race, and he said, hey, after 15 laps, it's going to get loose, and clearly he knows what he's talking about.
I think he might have done a little bit of practice. I think that's safe to say, just a little bit. And because he's quick. I mean, he's out here on the back bumper, beating down the deck lid at Nathan Meyer. Again, in the early run, James Harris has been good. He has been quick. He has been challenging Nathan Meyer. He had led at one point, took the race lead away from the 24 in the early going. But Nathan Meyer, as the run goes on, as the tires wear out, seems to find another gear and seems to be a little bit quicker than the 55. The 99 hasn't really challenged up towards the race lead all night long. Has just kind of had a slow burner of an afternoon, Brian Lorenzo, but he's found himself up into the challenge for the race lead in the top 3. Now side by side for James Harris as we cut over to a replay. John Lucido to the inside of Timothy Babcock coming out of turn number 4. Babcock slams the outside wall, comes down, almost takes out Lucido. Able to hold on to it, comes back on the racetrack. Loses a couple spots and a bit of time, and now back to James South, also coming out of turn number 4. He has left the service, so I gotta imagine this is a big one. Sliding out of the corner, overcorrects it to the right. Oh, slides it back down to the left, but I think we got another case of the rage quit on that one.
Yeah, for sure. And this has just been an interesting race to see how the handling have continued to be something these guys have been dealing with. I mean, I think that's been kind of the theme here tonight. I mean, you think Chicago would be an easy track to handle. I mean, really, it's not that bad.
It's worn out, man. It's worn out.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but I absolutely love racing around this racetrack. I've never really had this many woes. And it might even come down to the fix setup. And of course, they've also made changes to the dynamic track to where the track changes as the runs go on. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's having, an impact too. I mean, when you have 18 trucks out here running.
Yeah, the last couple of years, you might have just been running the bottom around 1 and 2. Now with the dynamic track, really wrapping it around wherever you can. And especially, I feel like you probably moved up to the top 1 and 2 even without the dynamic track on the older tires. But regardless with it, we have a few more options as we see Lorenzo utilizing that on the bottom side of the racetrack. Oh, sliding up on the exit of turn number 2. He's gotten this opportunity a couple times, but it really just has not been enough. He hasn't been able to clear Harris. And even whenever he does potentially clear Harris, it's not like he's able to slide over or move over across in front of his nose coming out of the corner because Nathan Meyer is right there. So you clear James Harris, but there's still another car there, so you can't utilize that positioning, can't get the position away from Harris, and you're just going to scrub off speed out of those tires on the long run if you keep it running down there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just one of those tracks, especially in 1 and 2. Momentum out of the corner is such a huge thing. You got this long, curved backstretch. And if you're not able to slide up on the exit of the corner, you're not going to be able to maintain the kind of speed those guys are up on the top. And that's clearly what we're seeing from Lorenzo. But I got to say, I am impressed that he's been able to make that work a lot better than I kind of suspected on the longer run. And that might even be helping him save his tire a little bit. So he might be wearing a different tire than the guys that are running up top. But also, got to say, Meeks has been looking a lot better here as well, sticking with these guys. Of course, if this goes green, and these drivers know that they cannot make it on fuel, I suspect we'll probably see green flag stops from these drivers not too far off. I mean, what would your strategy be? If you knew you could not make it to the end and you were running as hard as you could here, Austin, would you just wait till the last minute, or what do you do?
Well, it's a tough call. You got one of two choices. One, you pit halfway between, which we pitted at 60, and we had 50 laps to go. So halfway would be next time by. So you would come down, either take 2 or 4 tires, and give it enough gas to make it to the end. The other strategy is run it all the way dry and just take a splash of gas. Don't take tires. Minimize the pit stop length. We're seeing Tyler Meeks take that first option. He's splitting it halfway. Now, does he take 2 or 4? You can kind of do it a couple different ways here on the first option. Feel like he takes 2. You probably just want to fill it up with enough gas and get the tires on. I don't think your left sides are going to be killed after 25 laps at Chicagoland, and I think Meeks started to take care of him there the last couple laps. So I want to say Meeks, if I had to bet, is just going to take 2 and fill it up with enough gas. I'm going to go back and check just to make sure the right sides are down. Waiting a couple more seconds, and he's gone. Yep, he's saving the pit stop time.
Yeah.
Yep. So
That's
we see the 2 tires call come out.
That is interesting to me. I didn't think that was going to be something people would experiment with. But I mean, Meeks is an aggressive driver, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him make an aggressive strategy as we see Lorenzo and Sabilo. Let's see if they take the 2 tire stop. Jason Taylor, of course, he was one of the drivers that looked like he was saving. So I think a lot of these drivers have abandoned that saving strategy.
Turn 1 and 2 is a corner that is good for 2 tires. Lorenzo's taking 4. Sabilo took 2. Jason Taylor taking 4. Turn 1 and 2, the way it is laid out, is a very good corner for right side tires. It's very conducive to it. For whatever reason, the way you can arc it through the corner. Now, Meeks just has a pass through. We just got to point out, our producer told us. But the way you can arc it through the corner and arc down to the bottom line, very conducive for right side tires. Texas is this very same way, very flat turn 1 and 2, able to late arc it down. 4 for Nathan Meyer. Are we serious? Nathan Meyer and James Harris took 4. Okay, very mixed strategy. As I'm going through different talks. So
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, I just know we've had handling conditions all race long. Drivers have been having loose, and I think that's what Meyer and Harris are thinking. They're just like, you know, we've been struggling on the longer runs. We've had loose condition. If we just take 2 tires, we're going to be even looser. So I mean, I hate to argue against your strategy, but I think these guys are arguing against it as well. But we'll see who plays out better. I mean, could Sabilo, somebody that took that 2 tire stop, maybe get the win? I mean, Meeks, of course, is going to have to come back down pit road. So the only candidate I'm seeing right now is Sabilo that took 2 tires.
Yeah, I thought we had one more for some reason. I guess not. Sabilo, the only one to come down. I guess I was thinking of Meeks, but like you said, he's going to have to come down pit road. But yeah, Sabilo taking the 2 tires. He's only got a second gap over Nathan Meyer, but he was what in the world? He was how many seconds behind before the pit stops? 2, 3, 4. So a big improvement from Sabilo, and I'm honestly shocked somebody else in the top 4 did not try it.
But look at the lap times here, though. Look at the lap times. Keegan Sabilo last time by 31.148. He is being ran down by Meyer right now. He's about 0.3 faster than Sabilo. So I don't know.
Meeks doesn't have a speeding penalty.
So it seems like we had a little bit of an error.
So this becomes a lot more interesting then, because Sabilo's already about to get passed by Meyer. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it was still the right strategy for him. He's going to maybe pick up a spot. If not, he's going to finish in the exact same place he was going to finish in before. Now, up a little bit higher, Tyler Meeks, he's got a 3-second gap to Nathan Meyer. So can he hold on for another 19 laps? Is that going to be a big enough gap to be able to hold on to that lead? We got to pay attention to that. Not only that, but the top 3, I believe, are all saving gas. And Timothy Babcock has a 13.5-second lead over Tyler Meeks. Or 12.5 now, sorry, it was 13.5 last time by the line.
That's a good point. So we have a mixed bag of strategies here. Now, I do want to go back to the 7 here of Meeks, who we had thought had gotten a penalty, did not. Of course, the reason that we thought that was because Garth Snyder has a very similar paint scheme to Tyler Meeks. But Meeks, last time by, 31.6, actually now 31.5. He's a half a second slower than Meyer. I think Meyer is going to catch up to him fairly quickly as he's got 2 seconds back. Or 2 seconds, I'd say, a gap between him and the 7. Now, I think it's really interesting to see Babcock still out here. Has he been saving enough? This is going to be an interesting question. This is such a mixed bag of strategies. I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Timothy Babcock, last time by, 32.68. Tyler Meeks, 31.72. So 0.9 of a second faster. So that's telling me he's going to get there. Now, the difference with that is Tyler Meeks' tires are going to continue to wear. They're going to, they're at their peak, right? The right side tires are at their peak. So he's running fastest laps he possibly could on these tires currently. Those are going to fall off at some point. Same for Nathan Meyer. They're going to start slowing down. So as long as Timothy Babcock doesn't have to start saving more fuel, he should probably be running as slow as he's going to be running, if I had to guess. Because he's been saving fuel. He's not even running at the maximum of the tire. He's probably not running, or he's probably got a little bit more in it. These guys, they're running at the maximum. And they're going to burn up the tires. So that, I think that advantage they have lap over lap is going to quickly diminish. But it's just isn't going to diminish quickly enough. Right now, I'm thinking Meeks is going to get there.
Well, and also we got the factor that, Babcock is saving saving gas, I should say. And Meyer's now all over Meeks. Oh, with 3 wide there as he has to get by the 3 of Colby Jackson. That just saved Meeks from getting past. But I think it's inevitable here that Meeks is getting ready to get passed by the 24, who is significantly faster. Last time by 0.7 quicker.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised at just how quick Nathan Meyer has caught up. Oh, Tyler Meeks loose.
There's that loose.
James Harris looking to his outside, trying to capitalize. Now James Harris trying to fight through. Oh, almost a little bit of door contact. James Harris does have that preferred groove.
And that's that loose I was talking about. I mean, we already know that Meeks struggles on the longer run, but with the 2-tire call, he's just struggling even more.
He absolutely is. I don't mind the call, though. I mean, I actually really like the call. He tried something different. It just didn't happen to work out, but
very courageous, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I would have liked to see somebody try the splash and go at the end, but doesn't look like that's going to work out. Probably wouldn't have worked out because Babcock has not pitted, and he's going to be caught by the end of this race, or at least get close. So probably wouldn't have worked out. But as I mentioned, Babcock up in the race lead, 6.5 seconds over Tallman. More importantly, 6.5 seconds also over Nathan Meyer with 13 laps to go this time by. That gap is probably going to come down to 5.5 at the line. I mean, he's flying, man. Not quite 5.5. Yeah. It's going to be 6.2, but still, he caught Timothy by, oh man, was that over a second?
Oh yeah, well over.
I think Timothy's having to save even harder now, actually. So this might be even more done and dusted in terms of the split strategy. But what not's done and dusted is the race for the lead, because James Harris hasn't gone away. He didn't see Nathan Meyer come out of pit road in front of him and slouch back and give up. He is actually all over the back bumper now. James Harris, like I mentioned, winless through last season, winless so far through the first 2 events of this season. But he has led so many laps. He's led laps tonight. Can he get it done? Can he close in on the back bumper of the 24 and make the move?
It's definitely possible. I mean, I think what is Harris willing to do, I think, is the major question here. Is he willing to maybe give a little bit of a nudge to the 24 if he can get to the back bumper? I think it's possible.
Well, before we introduce you to the race lead, I'm going to introduce you to Green Mountain Grill, where innovation meets flavor, and your grilling experience reaches new heights. Are you tired of the same old grilling routine? Elevate your barbecue game with Green Mountain Grills, the ultimate choice for enthusiasts who crave precision, performance, and mouth-watering results. Why should you choose Green Mountain Grill? Well, they have smart control technology, versatile cooking options, and quality craftsmanship. Green Mountain Grills are ready to transform your outdoor cooking experience. You should choose a Green Mountain Grill for everything that you need for your outdoor cooking experience, where every meal is an adventure and every bite is a masterpiece. Upgrade your grilling game today. Visit us at www.greenmountaingrills.com. Thank you to Green Mountain Grills for sponsoring the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series and allowing us to put on this show. And we're about to get a heck of a show as Nathan Meyer is holding on to that race lead over James Harris, and it is a tight battle between the two.
Yeah, I really think that Harris has really engaged the afterburners here. Last time by, he was over a tenth faster than Myers. We can see, I do believe, Keegan Sobilo in the midst of a fight there with Tyler Meeks. Both of these drivers are the two-tire stop drivers. So Meeks, he has gotten a position up on this if he continues to get by Tyler Meeks. Or should say, Sobilo is actually going to work out well for him. As we're coming up, I do believe, to 8 laps to go. Timothy Babcock is getting caught quickly. 2 seconds separates him and Nathan Meyer.
You know what would be Timothy Babcock's best friend right now?
Caution.
Yes. Holy cow. He would win this race. Because everybody would have 20-lap-old tires. And he's the only one out there with tires.
Well,
I mean, he would
actually know these guys
so
do have. They have 3 sets in the field or in the pits. It's 4 altogether.
They used one. And then we had a pit stop, or we had a caution and used it 10 laps later. And then we had the last pit stop under the green flag run, so we've used all 3.
Him and Jeff Noe and Colby Jackson would have a set left, I do believe. But yeah, you're right. No, I think you are right. That would be very interesting. That would be
chaos. I'm telling you, man. And they're going to be. What was the? I've got to look at Nathan Meyer's fall off so far. He's got a second of fall off already. If if this thing runs another 3 or 4 laps and then the caution comes out and he gets green white checkered, 4 fresh tires at 1.2 seconds faster than everybody. Babcock's going to be flying on the green white checkered if we get it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, that would be pretty crazy, and it would be like hitting the lottery for the 10. Of course, that's what his in-race number is. I think his cosmetic number, though, is to 99. So, but yeah, no, that would be amazing. But here comes Meyer. Going to be dipping his way around. Of course, Hillowig now is going to try to get by the 99 of Babcock. Babcock's coming to pit road. He has hit the end of the fuel tank.
Where's the yellow? Where's the yellow right now? Perfect timing, please. I want to see the chaos. I want to see the green, white, checkered chaos. Either way, it's not going to happen for me, unfortunately. But fortunately for Nathan Meyer, because he doesn't have to deal with a restart. Well, I say that. Still 5 laps to go. But who knows?
Yeah. Anything can still happen. I mean, we could easily see caution still as you see Colby Jackson's now coming to pit road. But Nathan Meyer right now out front, 0.6 of a second on James Harris. I thought Harris was going to put a little bit more of a fight here towards the end, but I think he might have driven a little too hard and might not have enough left in the tire reserves there.
I think he had to get up there, though. I don't think he had any other chance. I mean, he had to at least give himself an opportunity to get up to Nathan Meyer. He got there. It's just they wore out as soon as he got to the back bumper. Still a valiant effort from James Harris. I'm sure it doesn't make him feel any better because he's came oh so close time and time again. So I'm starting to feel for James Harris a little bit.
Yeah.
But Nathan Meyer's starting to staple himself as a championship favorite, perennial contender. I mean, he's just fantastic week in, week out. Common contender for the top 3.
No, I totally agree. He has been one of my favorites to watch. I mean, every time he shows up on the track, he's been really one of the drivers to keep an eye on. He looks like he's going to win almost every race he shows up in. But I gotta go back to the 77 though. He took a 2-tire stop. Tyler Meeks took a 2-tire stop. I'm impressed with their lap times right now. I think that they've kind of equalized and just worked out somewhat for them. Of course, didn't win them any races, but I do gotta pat them on the back for their bravery, like you had said earlier.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of different strategy here today. Had a hard time figuring out exactly which one was going to be the best. Since we figured it out, it was the 4 tires. You know, I guess it was the pretty simple, explanatory one, right? The straightforward one. Don't get crazy. Just be simple. Oh, a little bit further back. Thacker and Lucido make contact out of 4. Almost got nervy on the last lap, but Nathan Meyer has drove a great race, man. I mean, he gave up the lead early, ran a smart race, able to run the race leader back down and take the lead back, and just set sail. It just ran a really, really smart race. The driver, the 24, coming out of turn number 4. For the final time, Nathan Meyer is going to win race number 3 in the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. Nathan Meyer wins from Chicagoland.
Yeah, what a fantastic run for the 24. Finally, someone I pick wins the race. I mean, it's got to be super happy for him. And as you see, James Harris comes up, gives him a big bump. And I got to say that Meyer ran a smart race. I think when you say that, that's the truth. I mean, he let Harris go earlier in the race with full confidence that he was going to be able to get back by him. And I think that he showed that he was able to do exactly that as Lorenzo comes up and gives him a tap on the rear end in celebration.
Yeah, he didn't get sucked into running James Harris's pace and blowing off his tires. He ran his own race the entire time. He knew the pace that he needed to run. He knew how hard he needed to push that truck, and he was able to bring it home in victory lane, just a little bit ahead of James Harris, a little bit quicker than the 55 this evening. Big congratulations to Nathan Meyer as he burns it down in the infield once again. I feel like this is starting to become a little bit of a common sight.
Yeah, he's definitely been doing a great job. And I think his father recently passed, and of course he's been doing that with that increased motivation, I think, just to do it in his honor. As you can see, that's Thomas Meyer on the back deck lid.
As Nathan Meyer burns it down, we're going to use this as an opportunity to take our final commercial break of the evening. Whenever we come back on the other side, we're going to interview our top 3 finishers. Stick with us. Welcome back to the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. We're going to run through our final results. Heading up on the top step of the podium, Nathan Meyer bringing home the checkered flag. James Harris brings it home in second place with Brian Lorenzo in P3. King Sabilo in 4th, Tyler Meeks in 5th. Jason Taylor's going to bring it home 6th, George Young 7th, John Lucido 8th, John Thacker 9th, and Garth Snyder in 10th.
Jeff Noe finishes 11th place. Nathaniel Tallman finishes 12th. Timothy Babcock, after a interesting strategy, finishes in 13th. Dan Hillowig 14th. Colby Jackson in 15th. James South 16th. Stan Carnathan in 17th. And Ray Kennison rounds out this 18-car field.
All right, we're going to jump straight into our driver interviews. If we can find our top 3 finishers, we're looking for Brian Lorenzo. Brian Lorenzo, do you have a copy, buddy?
Yeah, man, loud and clear.
Brian, great 3rd place finish from you here tonight. The first stint of the race or so, we didn't talk about you too much. It just seemed like you were running a relatively quiet race, and then all of a sudden, after that caution, you found yourself up towards the front in that battle with the front four. What more did you need to really stick with them after the pit stop and to be able to maybe run with Nathan Meyer and James Harris and give them a shot at the win?
To be honest, I'd say the draft. Coming down on the last pit stop, I messed up the entry on the undercut. I would have been ahead of both of them if I hadn't done that. Then I would have been in the draft, and I was keeping up with them in the draft the first few laps, and then I think Meeks got loose ahead of me, and then once I lost the draft, it was just like they were just drafting off each other from there.
Well, Brian, bringing it home in P3 really set you up good in terms of the points tonight. What are your goals on this season right now? I mean, obviously everybody wants to win the championship, but week in, week out, what are your realistic objectives on the season? You know, putting it on the podium here, race 3. What are you thinking?
To be honest, just to continue finishing in the top 3 every week. Hopefully I can make the rest of the season. And if we do, yeah, hopefully we get a few wins here and there. And most of all, just to have fun. Tonight, I had a lot of fun, especially at this track. I wasn't expecting a multi-group race. I don't know if you noticed, like those two running the top. I was just running the bottom, like Kevin Harvick. And I didn't think it was gonna benefit them, but it did, and hopefully we get to see more of that during the season.
Well, congrats again, Brian. Are there any shout-outs that you can give at the end of the interview here?
Yeah, of course. Giving a shout out to Champion, obviously sponsors of the series. Thank you to them for letting us have fun every night. That's great. It's always great to see this league be sponsored. Thank you to James and the whole admin team for obviously hosting the race, make sure the racing is completely fair. And then thank you to you guys for coming out, staying up with us tonight. Hopefully we put on a show for you guys.
Yeah, it was a great race, Brian. We had a lot of fun up here. Seeing that battle for the race win coming down over the last 50 laps, it was honestly a lot of fun to watch. So appreciate you putting on a good show, and congrats once again for coming home in the top 3.
Thanks, man. You guys have a good night.
Thank you, Brian. You too. All right, that was our 3rd place finisher, Brian Lorenzo. Next up, we're going to pull over James Harris, and he's going to be talking to Brian Burnett.
James, definitely great job to you tonight, man. In 55, you came up 1 position short, and I know that's becoming, I think, pretty normal for you, unfortunately. I didn't pick you tonight. I thought maybe that would help you, but apparently Austin Edstrom picked you, and that, ruined your chances. How you feeling, though, James?
I'm feeling good and bad at the same time. Does that make sense? It was a good run. This season has started off very well so far. But the drought's hitting, I think, close to a year now. So we need to hit that bubble and burst it and get that win to get that curse gone, and we'll be good then.
What did you need to make that happen? I mean, it seemed like you and Meyer were fairly close all race long.
It was all about just who was going to be in front on the later end of the run, because once you got 20-25 laps on your tires, you're going to run up to the wall and it's hard to pass. And Nathan's better at pitting than I am, and he got a better launch than I did on the last pit stop, and I think that's probably what got him the win.
All right, for sure. Definitely interesting the way you guys had to deal with it. I know a lot of drivers took a 2-tire stop. What kept you from trying that? Was it something you had already thought about?
I had thought about it, and I was going to do it if we pitted it like say 95 or 100, with just 10 or 15 to go. But doing that with 20, 25, 26 to go, it's just there's too much time for you guys to catch. So it was a good try on the guys' part, but I think there was too many laps left for that to work for starters.
All right, well, definitely a great job, James. Of course, next week we're going to be heading to Martinsville. What? I mean, that's a race where you can see bumpers, kind of coming into action. What are you willing to do to win that race?
If anybody is between me and the flag on that last lap, they better watch out. I will full clearance for them. I'm riding with all of them.
Looking forward to next week in Martinsville.
First, I'm going to get a call to my dad. He's been in the hospital this week. They got him on oxygen, and he's been in ICU today. So I thought I was with dad and my family today. So I'll thank my wife for supporting me and putting off my video games and sim racing. Kevin Kirk, Bike Boat Management, remember the worst championship with our relationship. It's been a heck of a run.
All right, thanks for your time, James. And sorry to hear my father. Hope everything works out for him, and definitely be in my thoughts and prayers. Have a good James. Thanks, Sean.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Next up, coming up into the booth. going to be our race winner, Nathan Meyer. Nathan, hey man, it seems like we're talking to you pretty frequently here recently. Whether it be winning the race or just in the top three, but you're kind of making a name for yourself. You might need a name lately because you seem to be the only guy that can win multiple times.
Yeah, I'm good. It's definitely my favorite track anywhere that car's too. So I hope it shows because I really enjoy this kind of racing.
But I just kind of trying to run through your night tonight. You know, early in the race, you did pass early by James Harris. So you were able to get back into that run and then build a really good gap before the pit stop in a relatively short amount of time. Just kind of run through your process at the beginning of the run to the end.
Yeah, I don't like to lead here, especially at the beginning of the tire run because it's in the pace and everyone kind of going corners still back at you on the straightaway. So the leaders always running more and eventually James got loose and I went around and it was just kind of fighting around after that. And then, yeah, we had like 2.5 seconds lead before the pit stop and then the caution came out after that and I got much back up. I do if I just get behind me there, we'd be okay. And yeah, I was praying that those 2 tires didn't work out and ended up passing.
Yeah, you ended up building a gap for James at the end of this thing. He almost put on a scare again. He come up to your back bumper. Were you switched a little bit, or were you pretty confident that he had burnt his stuff up, getting up to you, that he was made at this point?
I think I read my stuff up more and I get to the back first, because he was kind of following me, and I knew at the end he was good at close, but as soon as you have that eyesight, you're not going to get around someone unless you push him out of the way, and I know James isn't like that, so I felt confident towards the end. He wasn't hoping for another race caution, because there was a couple guys on the tires that left, but it worked out. It was a great time.
Well, Nathan, congratulations on bringing on the checkered flag once again here from Chicagoland Speedway. What's your favorite racetrack? Unfortunately, it is Speedway under life. I think we have it on here so we
That's right.
we keep adding glory every now and then.
That's right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
No problem. Do you have any shout-outs from the end of the sign us off?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for visiting the sun. It's always fun to go back and watch it, and thanks to Green Mountain Rails and Champion Power Equipment for putting this on.
Alright, well, thank you, Nathan Meyer, once again, our race winner. That's going to do it for us here tonight on the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. Heck of a race, I gotta say, Ryan. I mean, I was really entertained the entire way. Strategy came in and played a good bit. What did you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good race. I mean, love Chicagoland. Always puts on some good shows, and you know, we definitely saw a lot of strategy playing out. And I think that's the kind of race we always look for. You know, a strategy person's. I think you know, just perfect race for anybody that loves strategy. I think NASCAR fans always love strategy, and yeah, I had fun.
And with that, we will bid you adieu. From the entire Grid Vision team, we would like to thank you for watching and participating in the chat. For more information on getting your lead broadcasted or starting your career in broadcasting, contact us on Facebook or X, or email us at info@gridvision.live. Congratulations, to Nathan Meyer on winning tonight's race from the Chicagoland Speedway. This has been Austin Edstrom alongside Ryan Britt and Austin Derbyshire. We will see you next time on the Grid.